The phone goes silent. No calls, no texts, just cold stillness where warmth used to be. You replay every moment. Did you say something wrong? Did you scare them away? Your mind spirals. Anxiety claws at your chest. The urge to chase, to fix, to demand answers is overwhelming. But what if it's not what you think? This silence isn't abandonment or indifference. It's something far heavier. It's the quiet storm of a love so deep it terrifies them into mute. Fear, vulnerability, the raw edges of caring too much. If you want to break free from the endless guessing game, subscribe now and listen closely. That silence, it's not rejection. It's their inner battle, the shadow of feelings they can't yet face. They aren't pulling away because they love you less. They're pulling inwards because love is finally waking up in a way they can't control. Most men will panic and chase. You'll learn to hold steady, to sit with the silence. Do you have the discipline to own the unknown and resist the urge to run? Point number 1. When silence speaks louder than words. When was the last time you listened, really listened, to the silence between you and her? Not the kind that fills a room, but the kind that cuts through your chest at 2 a.m. You stare at your phone, no messages, no calls, only the low hum of your own heartbeat. You scroll through old photos, searching for a sign of what changed. But the truth is, nothing changed. You did, she did, life did. You start to mistake quiet for loss. You convince yourself she's done, that it's over, that you need to chase or fix it. But silence is not always absence. Sometimes it's a test to see if you can hold your ground when everything inside you wants to break. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." He said it to men who faced war and betrayal, not unread texts. Yet the principle is the same. They learned to hold the line while the world burned around them. You can learn the same discipline in your own quiet battlefield. Picture a Roman soldier standing watch through the night. No orders, no sound, just his breath in the cold air. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't beg for noise to prove he still matters. He stands. Now picture yourself alone in your apartment. No reply from the person who once made you feel seen. Do you reach? Do you plead? Or do you stand your post? The silence between you and them is not punishment. It's feedback. It shows where you rely on validation instead of inner calm. It reveals your dependency, your untrained mind, your need for control. Train your silence. Can you stay still while your ego screams for attention? Because the next shift comes soon, and in that stillness, you'll see what was always hidden beneath the noise. Point number 2. The fear behind their distance. What are you really afraid of when they pull away? That they'll forget you, or that their silence exposes how much control you never had? You feel it when you see their name vanish from your notifications. When you check your phone again, hoping the universe changed its mind. It didn't. You replay every word, every moment, searching for the mistake that made them withdraw. You imagine they're calm, indifferent, already moving on. But that's not the truth. They're not cold. They're scared. Not of you, but of what you awaken inside them. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." You live that line every time your thoughts spiral. They retreat not to punish you, but to protect themselves from what they can't yet process. The fear of feeling too much. The fear of needing someone who might not stay. It's the same fear you feel when you realize your worth depends on their attention. In ancient times, men faced lions and swords. Today, you face unread messages and quiet rejection. But the battlefield is the same, courage against fear. When they withdraw, your first instinct is to chase, to fix. That's not strength. Strength is sitting in uncertainty without breaking character. You can't command love to stay by moving faster. You can only prove you deserve it by standing still. Distance doesn't always mean disinterest. Sometimes it's a reflection of your own hesitation mirrored back at you. So when you feel that gap growing, don't fill it with panic. Fill it with presence. Let them face their fear while you master yours. Hold your position. Can you face the quiet without begging for noise? Because soon that silence will reveal who's running and who's ready to stand firm. Point number 3. reading the hidden meaning in withdrawal. What if their silence isn't about you at all? What if it's the sound of someone fighting a war you can't see? You check your phone again and again, trying to decode a pattern that doesn't exist. You tell yourself they're done, that the distance means rejection. But maybe it's confession in disguise. People don't always vanish because they've stopped caring. Sometimes they disappear because they've started feeling too much. Their withdrawal isn't the end. It's exposure. You've reached a part of them they don't yet know how to handle, so they pull back to protect the illusion of control. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." That line built empires inside broken men. The ancients learned to see meaning in stillness, not chaos. You must do the same. Read their silence like scripture, not as punishment, but as information. Every unanswered message, every delay, every quiet night is data. It tells you how they manage emotion, how they cope with fear, how they process truth. You can either chase noise or you can study the quiet. Because what you see in that space reveals more about both of you than words ever could. In old times, men learned patience through battle. Now you learn it through unread messages and long pauses. Different field, same test. Stillness exposes your discipline, your control, your restraint. Don't react, observe. Let their withdrawal speak before you rush to fill it with noise. Train your eyes to see meaning where others see absence. Can you decode silence without needing reassurance? Because once you do, you'll stop chasing answers and start mastering perception itself. Point number 4, staying grounded when they pull away. Why do you lose your balance the moment they pull away? Why does your mind turn chaos into proof that you weren't enough? You feel it in your chest, tight and restless. You stare at your phone, waiting for movement that never comes, and every second of silence feels like judgment. You start thinking you need to act, to explain, to fix. That urge isn't love, it's fear disguised as control. You chase to avoid sitting with the truth that you can't command connection. The harder you reach, the faster it slips away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You become what you give your attention to." The men before us understood this law. They learned to hold still while storms passed around them. They knew that peace was not given, it was earned through control of focus. Today your storm comes through a phone screen. You scroll, you wait, you ache. But every time you break your stillness, you lose ground. You teach your emotions that panic is power, that need is movement. It isn't. When someone pulls back, it's not your cue to chase. It's your signal to anchor deeper into yourself. The silence tests how much of your worth depends on reaction. Every second you stay grounded, you rebuild control. Every moment you resist reaching, you sharpen discipline. Imagine standing in the gym, holding weight until your muscles tremble. You don't drop it, you hold. That's what emotional stillness feels like. Strength under pressure, calm in uncertainty. Hold your line. Can you stay centered while everything in you begs to move? Because when you can, the silence stops being punishment and becomes proof of your power. Point number 5, turning stillness into strength. What if stillness isn't weakness, but the highest form of strength? You sit alone, no texts, no calls, no answers. The silence feels heavy, almost hostile. Your thoughts beg for action, for noise, for movement. But real power lives in restraint. You think control means doing more. It doesn't. Control means doing less with more intention. The man who can hold his peace when others panic commands the entire field. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom doesn't come from chasing outcomes. It comes from mastering reaction. The Stoics faced exile, loss, humiliation, and still they stayed composed. Because they knew that emotion is just energy waiting for direction. You live in a world that worships reaction. Quick replies, constant validation, endless scrolling. You've been trained to move fast, to respond first, to never pause. But silence is your rebellion. When you stop chasing, you start leading. When you stay calm, you make others reveal themselves. Stillness is not passive, it's a weapon. It lets you see clearly while everyone else drowns in their impulses. You start noticing patterns, motives, truth. You stop guessing and start observing. You gain the clarity that chaos hides. Every second you hold your ground builds invisible armor. Every quiet choice reinforces power that can't be faked. Stillness turns your pain into precision. Your waiting becomes discipline. Your calm becomes command. So sit in the silence. Breathe through the urge to reach. Watch what unfolds when you no longer chase validation. Stand still. Can you turn your quiet into force? Because when you can, nothing external can shake you again. You've made it to the end, and that says something about you. You don't just want quick answers. You want depth. You want growth. What we talked about today isn't about games or control. It's about learning to stand steady when everything around you shakes. It's about turning silence, fear, and distance into lessons instead of losses. Because when you stop chasing noise, you start hearing truth. If this message hit you somewhere real, thank you for being here. This channel exists for men who want to think deeper, feel stronger, and move with calm in a chaotic world. You're part of that now. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It helps this message reach more men who need it. And if you've lived through a moment like this, share your story in the comments. Someone else might need your perspective today. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.